This is day two of the sex trafficking trial of Sean Diddy Combs. Cassie Ventura describes the abuse that existed between the two. The singer says on the stand there were, quote, violent arguments and dragging in former relationship with the hip hop mogul. Tyrone Bowman live. Let's get right down to it. Here's an artist's drawing of Ventura as Sean Diddy Combs looks on at his ex-girlfriend while she's testifying. Now on to the article. According to the Guardian, singer Cassandra Cassie Ventura, a former girlfriend of Sean Diddy Combs and central character in the case against him, took the stand on Tuesday as the high-profile federal trial of Combs entered its second day in Lower Manhattan. She is expected to testify against her former partner for several days. Testifying while 8.5 months pregnant, Ventura was initially asked to describe her relationship with Combs. Quote, there were violent arguments that would usually result in some sort of physical abuse, dragging different things of that nature, end quote. When asked how often Combs was violent with her during the relationship, Ventura responded, quote, too frequently, end quote. Throughout her testimony, Ventura teared up or took deep breaths, dabbing her eyes with a tissue. Early in her testimony, which began around 11 a.m., Ventura was asked to describe Combs as, quote, freak-offs, end quote. Quote, it basically entails the hiring of an escort and setting up this experience so that I could perform for Sean. She said, adding that it allowed Combs to watch me with the other person and actually direct us on what we were doing. Eventually, it became a job for me, pretty much, end quote. Ventura emphasized that she felt a responsibility to make Combs happy. Combs preferred Ventura to groom herself a specific way. Specifically, he wanted her to have her nails painted white, her hair combed a certain way, and even suggested she get breast implants. Combs and his team would also periodically take away her laptop or phone. It depended on how long I was being punished for that, she said. Over time, she said freak-offs were not something she wanted to do, as they made her feel horrible and worthless and could last 2 to 3 days, sometimes with no sleep. Still, she told the court, I was in love and wanted to make him happy, and I didn't know what no could turn into, quote, end quote. Of how Combs would get during freak-offs, Ventura said, his eyes go black. The version of him I was in love with was no longer there, quote, close quote. Ventura said she was expected to take part in the freak-offs, even while menstruating, and that Combs would sometimes direct someone to urinate on her, resulting in blood sheets during these encounters covered in blood and or urine. She said she didn't want that to happen, but you don't have a lot of control at that moment, quote, end quote. I just felt humiliated. It was disgusting. It was too much. She said, I choked. I didn't want to be doing that. I was in a position I couldn't easily get out of. I eventually put my hands up and Sean saw and told him to stop. I was choking too much urine in my mouth. Sean urinated on me at the same time, quote, close quote. She recalled her first meeting with Combs in 2005 when she was 19. I just knew that he was this larger-than-life entrepreneurial musician, was a fan of the music. I didn't know too much about him personally, she said, adding that she went on to sign a 10-album deal with Combs' record label. Ventura later released her debut album in 2006, but it would be the only one she ever put out on Combs' label. Of how her relationship with Combs developed, Ventura explained how he kissed her on her 21st birthday in Las Vegas, and that the incident made her uncomfortable and that she felt confused. From there, despite their 17-year age gap, they began to see each other more frequently and started to develop a comfortable relationship with each other, quote, close quote. After the pair started dating, which Ventura said was not public for many years, as Combs was still in a relationship with longtime partner Kim Porter, Ventura described the world Combs lived in as much different than her own, quote, close quote. He had an assistant at his beck and call. He could get anything done quickly. He had respect from everyone. He traveled quite a bit, she said. Ventura depicted Combs' tempestuous moods and the resulting violence he would inflict on her as if she didn't act a certain way. She said she never knew if he would show up at her home in Los Angeles happy or yelling, prompting her to have constant stomach in knots. Moments, close quotes, make the wrong face, and the next time I knew I would get hit in the face, she said, he would say, watch your mouth, end quote. During their relationship, Ventura said Combs controlled a lot of my life, including her career, how she dressed, and who she spoke to. She described Combs to the courts as a polarizing person and that she fell in love with him and began to travel with him everywhere. Over time, she said, she began to experience his abusive side and his controlling side, adding that his mood would vary day to day, which affected her greatly. Ventura recalled that Combs had guns and safes in his multiple homes, which alarmed her. She cited one particular incident during which Combs made her carry one of the guns, something he did on multiple occasions, which terrified her. That incident involved Combs pursuing his longtime rival, Suge Knight. We were having a freak off in one of his homes in L.A., and he said Suge was at Mel's Diner and was packed up and drove down there, Ventura said. I was screaming and crying, please don't do anything stupid. I don't know what they're going to do, quote, close quote. Combs, who was arrested last September, faces charges including racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking, and transportation to engage in prostitution. He has pleaded not guilty and denied all allegations. This is according to The Guardian. Daniel Phillip, the second witness called on Monday, and a former manager of a male review show, was back on the stand on Tuesday morning to finish his testimony and cross-examination. On Tuesday, Combs' lawyer Xavier Dallison asked Phillip if Ventura was in complete control of everything she did with Combs. I cannot say that, Phillip said. Phillip later testified of Ventura's drug use and noted its infrequency during their encounters. He also revealed that he had bigger feelings for her. Had she given me a chance to date her, I absolutely would have. On Monday, a jury of 8 men and 4 women heard opening statements and testimony from the first 2 witnesses called to the stand by the government. Prosecutors alleged that Combs ran a criminal enterprise through his business empire, aided by associates and employees that engaged in crimes such as sex trafficking, kidnapping, arson, bribery, enticement to engage in prostitution, and obstruction of justice, allegedly dating back to at least 2004. Combs' defense attorneys acknowledged that Combs perpetrated domestic violence in the past, but denied any involvement in sex trafficking or a racketeering conspiracy and portrayed any group of sex as consensual, describing it as part of a swingers lifestyle. Following open statements, the prosecution called 2 witnesses on Monday, including Phillip and Los Angeles police officer Israel Flores, who was working as a security guard at the Intercontinental Hotel in March 2016, when Combs was caught on surveillance video assaulting his then-girlfriend, Ventura. On Tuesday, Combs' children and other family members were seen outside the courtroom praying in a circle with their heads bowed. In accordance with federal court rules, the trial is not being televised. If convicted, Combs, who has been jailed since his arrest last year, could spend the rest of his life in prison. So here's some information that's available, and support for anyone affected by rape or sexual abuse issues is available from the following organizations. In the U.S., RAIN offers support on 800-656-4673. In the UK, Rape Crisis offers support on 0808-500-2222. In Australia, support is available at 1-800-RESPECT or 1-800-737-732. Other international helplines can be found at ibibilio, ibilo.org/rcip/internal.html. I'm Tyrone Bowman. Never surrender, never quit.